Hey everybody, it's Mike here from The Art of Guitar. I'm super excited about this one. I went and saw Tool the other day, and I thought, you know what, I have to do a concert review video right away just so I don't forget any of the details. So let's go. Okay, so in 2019, I did a Guitar Techniques video of Adam Jones for my channel, and he actually ended up seeing it. And I was so shocked when he got back to me and he's like, hey, I actually really like the video, and if we're ever on tour, go ahead and just hit me up, and I'll try to get you in, get you backstage. Maybe I could shake your hand or something like that. So that was exciting. So I had to wait a long time. You know, we had to get through the pandemic and everything, and all of a sudden it's 2023, and I hear that they're coming to the Xcel Energy Center here in Minnesota on Halloween, and I just thought I have to go to this. So I sent him a message. I didn't really expect him to get back to me because it's been so long since we've chatted, but I just put it out there, but I also bought tickets just in case. So it was the day before the show, and I was going to buy the tickets, and I was surprised that I actually got some decent seats. I got floor level seats, row 13, and it was crazy because a lot of the other seats around it were taken, but there was this little row of blue dots on the Ticketmaster site that was still available. Other resale seats nearby were about $750, so I got really lucky to find the actual Ticketmaster tickets because they were a lot cheaper by like a sixth of the cost. So we get to the Xcel, we park outside, and all the elevators were completely packed. People were still going into the show. And so we had to walk up all these stairs to get to the Skyway, to get to the main part of the Xcel. And I swear it felt like a million steps to get up. It was like the Exorcist stairs, but in reverse because we had to go up them. We were a bit winded, but by the time we got inside, we were so excited it didn't matter. We walked all the way past the merch tables and the food stands and vendors and all that stuff. And I wanted to find our seats right away. I find it's a lot less stressful if you know where you're sitting and then you go off and get some food or something to drink. It's just the way I like to do things. So we walk through the curtains and I see the stage set up. You know, it was pretty much all covered in black except for one little drum set in the middle that I could see. And we started to walk down. Now we had to walk down a whole bunch of steps to get all the way down to the floor level. And as we're walking down, I'm noticing a bunch of signs in the back of the seats that say, no photos or videos allowed during the show. And my heart kind of sank because I love to get a lot of footage for these review videos. And I thought, oh man, this is going to suck because now you guys aren't going to really be able to see and hear what I saw. I'll probably just have to find some footage online or something, or maybe I'll just, I don't know, draw a picture of what I saw. It did feel really cool though to go all the way down the stairs, all the way to the floor level, because I'd never really got a seat on the floor level at Xcel before. So it was a brand new thing for me. And we walked through, and we get to our row, and all of a sudden I feel someone kind of hit me on the shoulder, and I look up, and it's my old jujitsu teacher. I was really surprised to see him there. I was like, oh my God, what are you doing here, you know? He's like, I'm here to see Tool, duh. But he pulled out his phone and he showed me a picture of him standing next to Maynard. It turns out earlier that day they trained Brazilian jiu-jitsu together. And he's like, yeah, we trained, and then we went backstage here at the Xcel, and then I saw their sound check, and I was really happy for him, but I have to admit I was kind of jealous at the same time. So we talked for a little while, and then we took our seats, and then eventually the lights dimmed, and I got excited because I didn't really know about the opening band called Steel Beans. We walked past the merch table, and I saw their t-shirt, and it kind of looked like a psychedelic or a hippie type of thing, had that kind of vibe, so I thought, okay, maybe it's like a psychedelic Black Crowes type band that's opening or something. I have no idea. But then just one guy walked out. He was like wearing a gold costume for Halloween, and he sat behind the drum set, but he had a guitar on him as well. And then it clicked, and I remembered, okay, this has to be the guy that I keep seeing all over the internet. You know, the guy that plays drums and guitar and sings, and sometimes he plays keys at the same time. He's actually super talented, so I was pretty interested in what he was going to be doing. And he sat down at his kit, and all of a sudden he kicked his kick drum, and it felt like an explosion went off. It just really hit me really hard in the chest, and I thought, wow, this is what it's like to sit on the floor level at the Xcel. This is insane. And then when he kicked into a song, the kick drum was the loudest thing that I could hear. So the guitar was there, but it wasn't turned up as loud as I probably would want it to be. But the kick drum just kept kicking me in the stomach. And I was just looking around like, am I the only one who feels like they're getting beat up right now? It took them a little bit to really get in the groove. You know, it's got to be tough to play all those instruments. And it made me wonder how difficult it would be to just play drums and guitar at the same time the way he does. So I thought I would actually challenge myself to try to do it today, and this is what happened. Now, doing what I just did was hard enough, but add singing and playing keys to it and playing in front of an entire stadium, and you have just a whole nother level that he's doing. I would kind of describe his sound as like the Black Keys, maybe, very vintage sounding, mixed with like a Reggie Watts, because he's actually really a funny guy too. He was doing like a freeform rap for one of the songs. And then he told us all a story about how he had to drive from Canada to get to this gig. And he said that he was driving and all of a sudden he hit this huge blizzard. And it's a blizzard we got the day before the show here in Minnesota. But he said he was in a a rear-wheel drive van driving all the way here. And he said that he couldn't see the road. Everything was whited out. He couldn't see like the sides of the road. So he didn't know if he was still on it. And it's kind of funny because all of us Minnesotans kind of looked at each other like, yeah, so? We're kind of jaded here, I think. Now, I was digging his music, even though I was kind of uncomfortable because of the kick drum, but I decided to get up and get a drink while I still could. So I went all the way up the stairs again. I was getting a lot of cardio this day, and I just wanted to get one drink and then not have to go back again. So I made it a double, and I just ordered a double Jack on the rocks, and it came to $35. I couldn't believe it. I thought the guy made a mistake, and he's like, no, that's how much a double Jack is. So with the tip, it was over $40. $40 drink. And I thought, okay, this sucks, but at least it's going to keep me from buying too much booze tonight, so. And I was able to catch the last song of the Steel Bean set, and it was a great tune. Everybody clapped. Everybody was really appreciative, and I liked it, but I really thought that it was kind of out of place at the XL Energy Center, in the stadium setting. It didn't really work the best. I think if he would have played First Avenue or just any kind of club like that, he would have completely rocked the house. But it was a little strange to see one guy on a drum set in front of an entire stadium. I mean, there was one other person on stage. It was like a camera person. And this has been happening a lot lately at concerts. They have somebody right up on stage in front of the artist, just like walking around them. And, back in the old days, they used to be on the sides of the stage or in front of the stage. But now they're literally on the stage, and it kind of gets in everybody's way sometimes. And I think that's weird because everybody bought tickets to the show, and here this camera person's like standing in everybody's way. It was kind of weird. So he gets done, and then in a very short amount of time, they're already pulling the cover off Danny Carey's drum set. But it had these really cool looking face hugger decals on the kick drums, and so it looked like two big spiders. It was pretty sweet. I love Tool's old school gear setup. You have the big drum set with double bass in the middle, and then you have Adam's stacks on one side, and then Justin's bass rigs were really impressive. So he had a ton of speakers, and then right in the middle he has what I always wanted. If I was a full-time bass player, I'd want one of these, a huge rack full of rack units. It just looks so cool. It lights up, and it looks like he has about 50 different devices in there, and behind them were these gigantic black screens. And since we were sitting so close to the stage, I knew it was just going to take us for a ride. I was only hoping, though, that Maynard wasn't going to stand behind a little screen like he did the first time I saw them. So all I could see back then was a silhouette of him singing. I didn't even know if it was really him. It could have just been a stand-in while he sang from his house or something. I don't know. So I was really relieved when they came out and he wasn't standing behind a screen. He was kind of in the shadows. He doesn't like to have any lights on him when he sings for some reason. I think he kind of likes the attention to go to the other guys, but at least he wasn't behind a damn screen this time. They kicked off with Fear Inoculum. I think that's how you pronounce it. And I have kind of a funny story about that song. In 2019, when I did my Adam Jones Techniques video, I was showing people the technique called volume swells, where it kind of sounds like a cello playing. And I just chose, just arbitrary notes just off the top of my head that I thought would sound like a Tool song. And I had to make up a Tool song because they were really hitting people with copyright strikes back then. And so I came up with this. And then a couple months after that, Fear Inoculum came out, and people kept commenting to me. They're like, hey, I think you predicted what a Tool song is actually going to sound like. Check it out. And they showed me this. So what do you guys think? Does Tool owe me some royalties or no, I'm just kidding. They kicked into Zombie and I just had, the hair standing up on my arms. It was such a cool song to see live, up close, feeling everything. By the way, Danny Carey's kick drums did not make me feel ill like I was getting beat up the whole time. It was a real good pop to his kick drums, but it wasn't this 808 thud kind of vibration that made my teeth feel like they were getting loose or something. Having the full band helped too, so the full sound was coming through. It was really evenly mixed and it was very powerful. Like I said, Maynard was up in the shadows quite a bit, but he did talk to the audience a few times, and he ran down and actually threw out Halloween candy. So he was a little bit more extroverted than normal. And I was right about the screens. They completely messed with my eyes. There were times where it looked like the drum riser was raising up, almost like Peter Criss from Kiss would rise up in the air. But it wasn't that. It was just that the screens were moving a certain way that gave it that illusion. And then 3 of the band members wore these Groucho Marx glasses with the nose and the mustache. Adam didn't. You know, he's got the long hair in front of his face anyway, so you probably wouldn't be able to see it as well. And it was really funny because Danny Carey did this epic drum fill during like the 3rd song, and he accidentally knocked his costume off, his mask off. And he just laughed it off, you know, and I thought that must actually be a relief because those got to get like itchy and sweaty, so it must feel good that it came off. But I was wrong because by the next song, he already put it back on. So I guess he enjoyed wearing a mask and just celebrating Halloween. In addition to the screens, they had a killer light show. They had this like circular rack of lights that shot straight down at times that made it look like they were in a big laser cage. And then they would also shoot straight out. And they had actual lasers too, not just lights that look like lasers. They had the old school 1987 Def Leppard looking lasers, you know, the green ones. And when they added smoke to it, it was just an incredible thing to see. And later they actually dropped down some silvery confetti, and it actually came down behind us. I've never been that close to the stage that the confetti dropped behind me. I was always far back seeing it way in front. But when the laser beams hit those silvery confetti pieces, it looked amazing. I can't explain it, but you had to be there. It was like being stuck in a glitter globe or something, like a snow globe. I have to mention this really quick. Danny did this incredible stick, twist, twirl, catch thing that I've never seen before. So he was drumming, and then he threw his drumstick, and it started spinning in front of him almost like a propeller somehow. And then he caught it and hit the cymbal right on the beat. It was the most incredible stick toss I've ever seen. When Maynard did come out into the light, I saw what he was wearing. I thought, is this some kind of costume or something? But it really just looked like he dressed up. It sort of looked like an old school like Italian mobster outfit or something. He had a vest and he had a tie, but he also had a huge blonde mohawk. So he kept reminding me of Annie Lennox, and I couldn't stop thinking about that. So they played The Grudge, which I love that song so much, and then all of a sudden they flashed a timer that started counting backwards on the screen. And it turns out that they were going to take an intermission. And I thought that's crazy because all these years I've never really seen bands do intermissions. And all of a sudden I saw Ann Wilson do one recently, Peter Gabriel, and now Tool. So just like the camera guy on the stage now, I guess intermissions are a thing now. So I have to get used to them, I guess. I took the time to go upstairs and I stood in line for a while, and I ended up getting a Tool shirt. And it wasn't the one that I wanted. It was my second choice, you know. The third choice was their new logo t-shirt. And I always thought that logo was kind of weird because I think it could be mistaken for the word poop. I don't know. What do you think? But I was okay with the shirt that I ended up with, you know, and I was just like, you know what? It's a Tool shirt. I didn't get the one I wanted. Big deal. You know, I got a concert shirt. I'm happy. And we went back to our seats. But I ended up going out later and going to another merch table and asking him if they had the shirt that I actually wanted. And they did. And he told me that I could exchange the shirt I bought for that one. So I ended up with this one, which is the one I actually wanted. So intermission gets done and Danny Carey kicks into a drum solo. That was pretty epic. He played a gong with his drumsticks and then took a big mallet, hit that, kind of shook the whole place. It was awesome. But then this is the part where I have to be pretty brutally honest. They kicked into 2 really long, mid-tempo to slow songs. One of them was Culling Voices, and the other one was Invincible. And when I'm listening to them, like in my truck or something, I love those songs. But for some reason, live, maybe it was the intermission followed by the drum solo, followed by those 2 songs, it just felt like there was a lull in the show that went on a little longer than my personal taste would have wanted. Whenever I go to a show, I always want to rock out. I always want to get my blood pumping, mostly because at this one, it was a Tuesday night. We just had a blizzard the night before. It's like, man, I'm ready to just, you know, see a rockin' show. And then, so when it went to a lull for a little too long, I just kind of felt like, man, I wish they would just kick into something like Stinkfist or Sober or Bottom or Prison Sex or anything. Just something that would get my blood pumping, you know? But they're really disciplined as a band, and they just kept it really low key for a long time. So the music slowed down for what felt like 20 to 30 minutes. I looked over at my friend, my jujitsu teacher, and I just asked him, I'm like, I don't know about you, but I'm getting kind of bored right now. And he looked at me like I was crazy, and he's like, man, I'm having a great time. And then I looked, and the girl in front of us, she was doing like this weird Woodstock dance, almost like she got some bad acid or something. And then she started headbanging during that heavy part in Invincible, and I just felt her hair whipping me. I noticed that Danny had these weird tiles behind him that kind of looked like piano keys. And during Invincible, he turns around and starts hitting them with mallets, and they actually made the sound of a synthesizer. So it's just this gigantic synthesizer that he could just turn around and play. So I thought that was pretty epic. And I thought this is probably building up to something really, really awesome. They actually kicked into Swamp Song, which is a song I would have never expected from them. And that was their last tune. And Maynard's like, you know what? You guys can actually record this one if you want to. So they played it. They totally kicked ass with it. And, I was really hoping for an encore of at least 2 songs. I thought we still haven't heard like 6 of my favorite songs yet. So I was really hoping they were going to come back out. But then I realized that Tool isn't that kind of band, to play Swamp Song and then bow out or whatever, and then come back out and play like a huge hit like Sober or something. I just can't see Tool doing that sort of thing. So the lights go up and they start blasting Dancing Queen by ABBA through the PA system, which I thought was an interesting choice. It seemed like a real deliberate choice by the band. They kind of have that corny, dry sense of humor that I love. I bet you Danny Carey thought of that. So to give it a rating, I have to kind of think back. The whole show was solid. I had a great time, very memorable, very just solid show all around. The opening act, though, Steel Beans, as much as I respect his talent and love his music, it just didn't seem like the right setting for him at the time. And that kick drum, kind of sonically beating the crap out of me the whole time, kind of took away from my enjoyment of the show. Just wasn't a very balanced mix from where I was sitting. And even though I shouldn't complain because Tool played so many awesome tunes that I love, there were still, like I said, about 6 tunes that I wish I could have heard. I would have loved it if they would have played 2 more songs, even if it's just like an encore. And that lull in the show, even though everybody else seemed to love it, it just kind of seemed to last a little too long, like I said, for my own personal taste and how I was feeling. My ADD kind of kicks in when I go to shows sometimes, and I really just want them to just get moving sometimes, It's just me, I know. But all that being said, I would give the show a solid 8 out of 10. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for watching this review. Hopefully you liked it, and I will catch you at the next video. I have a lot of ideas coming out soon, so keep an eye out in the next week. I should have at least two more videos coming, so. Okay, everyone, we'll see you then. Thank you. Bye-bye.